This is Online Pass, the video game news quiz. My name is Cyril Lachelle, and today I'm going to ask you a series of questions based on some of the biggest news stories to come out of Sony's E3 2016 press conference. From God of War to a very naked Norman Reedus, we're going to be covering a lot of ground. So grab a piece of paper and a number 2 pencil, because this is a test. Question 1. This year's press conference kicked off with a 5-minute overture conducted by God of War composer Bear McCreary. When not filling the Shrine Auditorium with music, Bear is best known for scoring 10 Cloverfield Lane and The Walking Dead. He also scored a number of video games, including a 2011 PlayStation 3 third-person shooter that effectively killed the franchise. What game was that? Question 2. After what can only be described as a tumultuous year, it was no surprise to see Hideo Kojima show up at the Sony press conference. What was a surprise was his brand new game, Death Stranding. The trailer stars a very naked Norman Reedus standing on the beach. It shocked everybody and seemed to delight fans. So here's a question that may seem random at first. What kind of tears is Hideo Kojima drinking right now? Question 3. After countless rumors and speculation, Crash Bandicoot is finally making a comeback. Kind of. The original PlayStation mascot will not only make a cameo in the new Skylanders game, but Sony will be bringing the first 3 Crash games to the PlayStation 4 in a brand new remastered collection. It's cool that we get Crash 1, 2, and Warped, but how many main series Bandicoot adventures are they leaving out? Question 4. To nobody's surprise, virtual reality was a big part of Sony's press conference. Major franchises like Star Wars, Resident Evil, Batman, and Final Fantasy were brought in to sell PlayStation 4 owners on the $400 peripheral. Beyond the high-profile name, Sony also showed off a brand new first-person shooter that's set on an alien planet. It has a really unmemorable title that I don't remember. What's the name of the game I'm thinking of? Question 5. Hey PS Vita owners, I bet you were excited for this year's E3, right? So, here's the question for you. How many times did Sony mention their 4-year-old portable console? And now, the throwback round, where I pull questions from classic game magazines. Brace yourself, the next corner's rough. Well, this year's E3 press conference was not without a few problems. It was a lot better than what they came up with a decade ago. Back in 2006, Kaz Hirai introduced us to a giant enemy crab, a meme that still comes up from time to time. But while everybody still laughs at the giant enemy crab, few remember what game it came from. What game were they demoing back in 2006? Okay, put your pencils down, everybody. The quiz is over. Let's see how you did. Before Sony had a chance to show off the brand new God of War, composer Bear McCreary conducted a breathtaking 5-minute overture. This perfectly set the mood, promising viewers an epic 90 minutes of action. Sony largely delivered, with new IPs, unexpected sequels, and even a friendly neighborhood superhero. While Bear may not be a household name, he scored some of your favorite TV shows, including The Walking Dead, Outlander, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He also worked on SOCOM 4, the ill-fated Sony shoot-'em-up that seemed to kill off the franchise for good. Don't blame Bear, it wasn't his fault. Leave it to Hideo Kojima to leave everybody speechless. After debuting the Death Stranding video, few seem to know what to make of it. It had a whole lot of death and nudity, which is not a whole lot to go on. More than anything else, fans were excited to have Norman Reedus reunite with Kojima after the cancellation of Silent Hills. The Walking Dead stars seemed to agree. Minutes after the trailer debuted, Norman sent out a picture of Hideo Kojima drinking from a cup labeled Konami Tears. I bet Kojima would have enough money to fund his next game if only he'd start selling those cups online. Crash Bandicoot fans could barely contain themselves when Shawn Layden announced a remastered collection for the PlayStation 4. This long overdue compilation will not only feature the 1996 original, but also Cortex Strikes Back and Warped. While it's exciting to own the PS1 era all on one disc, there are 4 main series sequels missing from the package. This includes The Wrath of Cortex, Twinsanity, Crash of the Titans, and Mind Over Mutant, the 4 games that came between 2001 and 2008. It's also a shame Crash Team Racing isn't part of the package. I'd argue that it's the best Crash Bandicoot game, and it still holds up. With the PlayStation Virtual Reality helmet set for release on October 13, this was Sony's time to show off the games. They did not disappoint, with trailers of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Star Wars Battlefront X-Wing VR Mission, Batman Arkham VR, and something called Final Fantasy XV VR Experience. In amongst the big name franchises is a brand new first-person shooter called Farpoint. This sci-fi action game has sand, big explosions, and a giant enemy crab. Bold decision. After 2006's press conference, I figured we'd never again see a giant enemy crab used to sell expensive hardware. As a longtime fan of the PS Vita, it hurts my heart to report that Sony completely forgot about their handheld system. There wasn't a single game, picture, or mention of the Vita, a stark reminder that Sony is finally out of the portable gaming market. We typically get a few short minutes of indie games hitting the system, or third-party titles that just happen to be getting handheld ports. But not this year. This year was all about the PS4 and VR. Nothing else mattered. But don't fret, Vita fans. New games have been announced for the system. Square Enix has a number of Vita titles on the horizon, and Sekai Project just revealed that Rabi-Ribi is headed to the handheld. I reviewed that earlier in the year, and it's definitely one to look forward to. 2006 should have been Sony's year. They were coming off of the best-selling console of all time, and in a dominant position going into E3. Unfortunately, the PlayStation 3 hit a few bumps along the way. Even if you ignore the sticker shock and mediocre presentation, the entire conference was rife with gaffes. Perhaps the most tragic meme came when Bill Rich and Kaz Hirai attempted to demo Genji, Days of the Blade. In what should have been a cool selling point, Bill notes that Genji's epic battle scenes were based on famous battles that actually took place in ancient Japan. And then, almost in the next moment, we're introduced to a giant enemy crab. Ugh, how embarrassing. Hey, thanks for taking our quiz. This is the first of 3 episodes of Online Pass we'll be posting this week. That's one for each of the E's in E3. We're also going to be covering the Microsoft press conference, as well as a wrap-up episode that covers everything else. And if that's not enough E3 for you, I recommend you check out our Then vs. Now episode we posted yesterday. As the name implies, I take a look at how E3 has changed between, well, then and now. We also have a bunch of new reviews going up, but there's no time to talk about that now. So, I suggest you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.